In this video, we'll look at the metadata options found in the library module of Lightroom. Let me go ahead and open that up over here on the right side panels. And I'm going to walk you through all the different options here. There's a lot. They're really cool. There's some amazing things you can do from within the metadata panel. So first of all, I have selected no presets. But you can see here, I do have a preset that I've already created. And I created this preset when I was in the import dialog window. And that metadata preset, let me show you under edit presets, is a really valuable thing to start off with. I gave this preset my name, and under it, I put in some really important information. I made sure that the copyright status was very clear, that it was copyrighted images with my name, all rights reserved, with my website, and I gave it a creator and the addresses. As you can see, all these fields were filled in. Now, I didn't fill in everything. I didn't fill in keywords, for example. It was just really basic information that I want applied to all my images as they come in to Lightroom. And that's why, in fact, when you look over here under the metadata panel, you can see there's already some information filled in with this particular image because I had that applied on the import. Okay, let's just go through the various options. Now, as I mentioned, this preset can be applied on the import, but it also can be applied later. If you've created a preset, you can apply it at any time in the develop module using the metadata panel. Okay, so the first thing we see here is the file name. And look at the icon over here on the right. When you have this icon, it's basically saying you can do something to that field. In this case, we can give it a new file name. So that can be done within the library module. You could also do it on import if you're copying or moving images. But you can do it within the library module. You can do it right there. Now, if you scroll on down, you see it has a sidecar file, a JPEG sidecar file. That means I've been shooting JPEG and RAW, and that even though the JPEG is not showing up in my catalog, the JPEG does exist on my hard drive. So there's no copy name associated with it. The folder itself, this is the folder that resides on my hard drive that contains the original file, and it also is reflected over here in the left side panel under folders. Now, if I click on this little arrow here, it'll take me to that folder. Whenever you see an arrow, that takes you someplace. Metadata status has been changed. So this is telling me that I've done something to it in Lightroom, but I haven't saved those changes to the actual original file. So I'm going to go ahead and select Resolve Conflict. And it says here the metadata for this photo has been changed in Lightroom. Save the changes to disk. I'm going to go ahead and select Save and tell you what happens. You can see how it's updating over here on the right. In the metadata panel, and now it's up to date. What does this mean? Well, this means that all the information that's been created in Lightroom, this either is developed information about what I've done to the image, whether it's been cropped, anything that I've added to the image in Lightroom, now exists as a sidecar next to the original raw file. So that information now exists outside of the Lightroom database. It's very important. And if anything happens to my Lightroom catalog and I haven't backed it up properly, at least within that sidecar, all that metadata will exist. Okay, let's just move on through. There's no title associated with this picture, but I could click and type in a title if I wanted to. There's no caption, but I can make a caption here. And these things are useful later, for example, in the either in the slideshow module or the print module or web module. You can use this information and apply it directly to an image. It goes into this XF metadata and will grab that information that you've typed into here. Now you can see this very important part has been filled in, the copyright name. My name's associated with the image, and it is copyrighted. It's not public domain. I am the creator. This was all done on import with that preset that I made. Sublocation, I'm not going to fill that in. Now, if I haven't given it a rating, I can give a rating directly from the metadata panel. So let's give it a 5-star or 4-star, whatever. And as far as labels go, I can also give it a label here, a color. And this arrow to the right, remember, this takes you someplace. So what it'll do, if there's a label associated with this picture, it will take you to all the images that are also labeled the same. Okay, so as far as capture time, you can see this icon over here to the right. Again, that means I can do something to it. I'll click on it. And there's very few things that you can change in a RAW file. RAW files are meant not to be touched, but you can change the capture time. And this can come in handy. Let's say you've been traveling and you forgot to adjust your camera to the new time zone. Well, here you can actually correct it and get it to the correct time. All right, so move on down, capture date. You see there's a date associated with the capture. If I click on this little arrow here, it'll take me to all the pictures that were taken on that date. Dimensions, this is where you get into information that just exists as part of the photograph. It's built into the file itself through the EXIF data. Dimensions, this is the original data associated with the dimensions. It has been cropped, and that tells me the crop dimension. If I select this little arrow on the right, it'll take me into the develop module to the crop overlay tool, and I can then recrop it or not. Exposure, this is the actual exposure time and the f-stop. The focal length that the image was shot at, the ISO speed rating, and if I select this little arrow here, it'll take me to all the photos that were taken with this ISO. Flash did fire, so I did use a flash on this shot. It's telling me that. It tells me it was a Nikon. It tells me what kind of camera. It tells me which lens. And then once again, here's that little arrow to the right, which if I click on it, will take me to all the photos taken with this lens. Now at the very bottom, this is so cool, it gives me the GPS information. Now, frankly, my camera did not provide this. I got this information later using the map module. But watch what happens when I click on this. It takes me right into the map module of Lightroom and shows me where that photograph was taken, and shows me a little preview of that photograph and tells me that there was 3 other photos taken at that location. Okay, so let's go back over to the library module, and I want to show you how to sync up metadata between one image and multiple images. And let me give you an example. So this photograph here, I know where it was taken. And let's say I want to sync up that metadata from this photograph with, let's say, the previous photographs. And I know that these photographs were taken in the same location with pretty much the same information that I might have typed in under title or caption, and certainly the same location. So I'm going to make a selection now. I'm going to select all these images as well as the original one that's selected. And down here at the very bottom, you see the word sync metadata. Let me go ahead and click that. And this brings up the synchronized metadata window. And I'm going to go through and select things that I want to synchronize. I do want to synchronize this. This is pretty important because I want the location associated with that one image to sync up with the location of the other images. Now this has already been synced up, the copyright, the creator. I don't need to sync up any of those other ones. But if I had keywords, for example, that I wanted to sync up, I could select that. Anyway, there's a lot of options here that you can choose from to sync up with the images that you've selected. Okay, I'll hit synchronize, and now automatically all these images now will be synced up with this original image. Let me go make sure. I'll select this image, and you can see now the GPS is associated also with that image. Okay, so now you know how to use the metadata panel in the Lightroom library module.